Today I'm going to be talking about an alien invasive plant that not very many people know about, Hypericum pseudohenryi, which is also known as Henry St. John's wort, which is found in the Midlands and in the Drakensberg. Sorry. Okay. Hypericum is it originates from China.
Hold on, can I check something there?
Click on something.
Yeah, sorry. All good. Terribly sorry about that.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so Hypericum pseudohenryi originates from China, and it is currently invasive in the KwaZulu Midlands and the Drakensberg. This plant is particularly adapted for high altitude areas that receive good summer rainfall. So climate change, I'm pretty sure most of you know what climate change is, but just briefly, it's changes in climatic conditions, particularly in extremes in temperature and rainfall, as you may have experienced today with our extremely cold weather in the middle of November. And the fact that there is snowfall in the country in November also just points to our amazing climate change that's happening. So the average increase in temperature that is expected over the next 200 years is about 0.085 degrees Celsius. Now that doesn't sound like a lot, but in some areas it's going to be much higher, in some areas it's going to be a bit lower than that. We're also going to be experiencing more El Nino events, which cause complete havoc with the climate across the whole world. So plant ranges often change as the climate changes. They either move to new areas where the climate is more suitable. They can go extinct if there's no way of them moving across certain barriers. But in the case of alien invasive plants, we often see that their range expands because they tend to be very good at moving across areas that they normally wouldn't move across. So the way I did my study was there were data points collected across the country, some by myself, mostly by KZN Wildlife, who very kindly gave me their database. I identified discrete populations from these data points because often there were 1,000 points in sort of a very small area, and that's just how many plants that they found. So we just made these discrete populations, and then I ran a climate model using a program called Maxent, which basically works out using bioclimatic variables where the plant is most likely to occur in the future with current conditions, etc. And I used 4 bioclimatic variables that the Hadley Center came up with. Used annual mean temperature, the minimum temperature of the coldest month, annual precipitation, and precipitation of the warmest quarter. And these particular bioclimatic variables were chosen because I did a principal components analysis, and these were the ones that were shown to be the best indicators of where this plant is going to occur. Okay, so for the future climate modeling, Hadley Center also has created these like a prediction in the future of what the climate is going to be like if we look at different representative concentration pathways of greenhouse gases. So the first one I used was an RCP of 2.6, and this basically what that means is they're assuming in this prediction that greenhouse gas emissions are reaching a peak at the moment, and it will only result in a warming of about 1 degree by the year 2070. I then used a much higher representative concentration pathway of 6, and this assumes that greenhouse gas emissions will peak at about the year 2080, and this will result in a global warming of about 2.2 degrees by the year 2070. Okay, so let's have a look at some of the results that came out from this. So if we look at current climatic conditions, what's happening right now today in 2015. So the areas that are red are where it is most likely to occur, and this is sort of the Drakensberg area, and that is where it's occurring at the moment. As you can see, the more it goes towards blue, that is where it is less likely to occur, but it still can occur there. So as you can see, there is a possibility of it going all the way up this mountain range and down here in the mountains in the Eastern Cape. So that is with current climate conditions where it can occur using the data that I have. So if we move to the year 2050, using our lowest concentration pathway, you can see that this area starts expanding. And as you can see, if you compare the two graphs, there is a bigger area that is now being covered by this plant, and it is mainly in our higher altitude areas. If we go to year 2070 with the same concentration pathway, it gets even bigger. Okay, again, just for comparison's sake, this is current conditions. Then if we use the higher representative concentration pathway, so you can see this starts expanding quite astronomically into these high altitude areas. And by the year 2070, we have almost all the way up that mountain range, as well as mountains down here in the Eastern Cape. So what does all of this mean? This means that with climate change, we are likely to see an increase in the presence of Hypericum pseudohenryi in these high altitude areas, which means that our pristine areas that generally are considered of better quality, that where alien invasives haven't occurred yet, are now under threat from this alien invasive plant. So we need to focus our clearing more at maybe the higher altitudes where it is more likely to occur in the future, rather than focusing on the lower altitudes, which might be easier to access, but at the same time in the future they might just die out on their own because of the change in climate. So for future research opportunities, we need to investigate the areas on the maps where it could possibly occur, where we haven't found it yet, in order to get better ideas of where is it spreading to. Is it going to go up into Mpumalanga and the northern province? And there are indications that that is happening already. And we need to investigate better methods of control. It is being controlled at the moment, but it is sort of a thumbsuck, and we need to try look at better ways of controlling it maybe more effectively. I'd like to thank Ian Rushworth, who gave me his wonderful data set on the species, Ryan Koch, who helped me analyze the data, Noni, who I dragged across the country to go and look at some of the plants in the Eastern Cape, to Ingrid, who gave me some of these lovely photos and who gave me the idea for this project, and to Sandy for funding. Thank you very much.